Was there ever a time where your sister confided in you that something was going on with you? Was there ever a time that your sister told you that Karen had made her do something she didn't do? Now, we're not going to go into what she said, but thinking about that time, what do you remember about her demeanor when she was talking? Yeah, of course. What do you remember, like, was she emotional? Was she just late? Was she... Can you repeat that for me? I had a little trouble hearing you.
She had emotions, but she was trying to show it.
And who was present for this conversation?
Me and my cousin next to me.
Okay. Do you remember where this conversation took place?
In that order.
In that order. Was this at your mom's house or your dad's?
In my house.
Was anybody else home at the time?
No.
How did your cousin react?
She just said quiet for the time.
What were you feeling after you were told?
I was even shocked that I was
Was there ever a time that you did something bad?
Yes. It's my cancer was farted, and then she was wrestling, and I didn't know, and you know, like, it was still really on. Then I did good, and
and who is Miss Carter?
she was my own cancer and
why did you... Well, first let me ask you this. Did Marvin know that you were going to tell anybody?
No.
Did she want you to tell anybody?
No.
So why did you end up doing it?
Because I knew that I was going to stuff
and so how did you end up giving this call back to you? Did you have a relationship with her?
Yeah.
What was it that you wrote about?
Whatever the experience is part of it, if you look at the attention of someone who's taught, or if you would be there, it's just listen to me, what was going on.
Would it be fair to say that you trusted her?
Yes.
So after you told Miss Carter, did you go home and let anyone in your family know that you had said something?
No.
Why not?
You may. If you could pull that microphone just a little bit closer. There you go. Thank you.
Do you recall when you did go and speak with Miss Carter, like what time of year it was? Was it the beginning of school year, the end of the school year? Between the middle?
Yes.
Do you remember what grade you were in?
No.
And can you just remind me what school were you at this time?
Sure.
And is that a elementary school, middle school, high school?
No, it's really consistent.
Impossible, Michelle.
Cross-examination.
How are you for today?
Doing you?
I'm well, thank you for asking. Are you okay with being on the record?
Yes.
Okay. How old are you?
16.
You're 16 years old? And have you lived with your mother your entire life?
Yes.
Was there any point in time you lived with your dad?
No.
Okay. But you mentioned earlier you would visit him every single weekend, is that correct?
Yeah.
And so was you're saying that there's a time period when your sister Marvin lived with your father?
Yes.
Do you remember what year by any chance she lived
No.
there? Okay. But during that time period while she lived there, she would visit you all. I mean, you would go and visit her often at her dad's house?
Yes.
Okay. And would your brother Isaac go with you as well?
He will come ready.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
He will come ready.
Sometimes he didn't want to go?
Yes.
Okay. And so, how was your dad and mom's relationship? Did they get along pretty well?
No.
Okay. Was your mom upset with your father?
Yes.
Okay. And did she make you all aware that she was upset with your father?
Yes.
And so, did your mom and Karen get along?
No.
Did your mom like Karen?
No.
Okay. And so you mentioned that when you first met with Karen, you all's relationship was good. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And your relationship was good up until the point where you're saying you found out
She's my sister.
that where you believe that she was selling your sister. Is that
Yes.
right? But before that, you were welcome over to their house every weekend,
Yes.
and you had nothing against Karen.
No.
Okay. So you weren't worried about Karen disliking you at that time?
I didn't really know about that.
Okay. And so in regards to, did you get along with Karen's other children?
Yes.
Would you say y'all had a pretty lovely relationship?
Yes.
Now you mentioned at times, even though you were getting along with Karen, you did not get along with your father?
That's correct.
Okay. And so did you and your father have issues in regards to your homosexuality? Was that an issue for him?
Yes.
Now, in regards to your sister, you were aware about her first pregnancy?
Yes.
Who told you about her first pregnancy?
Alright.
Okay. And so, were you aware that your mom took her to the doctor?
And she was pregnant?
Well, to confirm that she was pregnant. You're not sure about
Yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that your sister expressed something to you. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you said, or they asked you about her expressing Carrie maybe making her do something that she didn't want to do. Is that what you said?
Repeat your question.
You expressed earlier that your sister told you, I guess something along the lines of Carrie made her do something. Okay. And then you said the very next day you went and you okay. And at the time you said when your sister told you that you all were at your mother's house?
Yes.
And was your sister was living at your mother's house at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know about how long she had been living at your mother's house?
No.
Okay. And so even though she told you that night, do you not feel comfortable telling your mother?
I didn't know to do nothing.
Okay. Did you feel comfortable telling Sergio, your stepfather?
No.
Okay. Did you tell any of your other siblings?
No.
Okay. So the very next day after, then you told Miss, what's her name? Miss Farter. Okay. And so you had been seeing Miss Farter for quite some time?
Yes.
Okay. And you had some issues of your own that you were dealing with?
Yes.
And Miss Farter was helping you deal with those issues? Okay. And even after you told Miss Ford, at any point in time, did you go back and tell your mother?
No.
And did you ever go back and tell your sister or anyone else that you had told you to do Miss Ford?
No.
Okay.
As a result of you talking in this quarter, do you have to talk with CPS?
Yes.
Okay. And during your interview with CPS, in regards to the whole story you just told about seeing your sister go out and come back crying and taking a shower and having lunch, you didn't tell CPS anything. Okay. Do you recall not complying with CPS? Do you recall the CPS asking you why you were there? You just saying because my mother?
Repeat your question.
When you had to speak with CPS in regards to the allegation about your sister being sold, as you say, by a parent, do you recall CPS asking you, you know, why you're here?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall saying, I don't know because of my mother? Okay. Do you recall saying that you didn't know anything in regards to your sister? Do you recall being in that room for an hour and CPS had to repeatedly ask you to open up and tell them something about the situation? Now, you said that it just came into your mind, what if my sister's being sold? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So nothing had previously happened that would make you think that. It just popped into your mind that night, is what you told us?
Yes.
Okay. And then when you said your sister came back with money that night, did your sister ever tell you why she was crying?
No.
Did you ask Janelle, hey, why is my sister crying?
No.
Did you ask Karen, hey, why is my sister crying?
No.
So you never got a story as to why your sister is crying?
That's right.
Okay. And the next day, you never asked your sister where she got the money from?
No.
So you never know where the money came from?
No.
Okay. And when you went and told Miss Florida, in regards to when you said your sister told her, you would agree with me that it was about June 1st, I believe, of 2019. Does that sound about right? Okay. But at that time, do you recall already knowing that your sister was pregnant? And you're aware that your sister lost that first child?
Yes.
Okay. And then while she was living at your mother's house, she became pregnant again?
Yes.
Okay. And so you have the father of that child?
Yes.
How did I say his name? Is it, I heard Isaac, is I how do you say it? Is I Do you have a relationship with your father now?
No.
When was the last time that you talked to him?
He reached out not that long ago. He was trying to talk to me about it. I never talked to him.
You didn't talk to him? Did your brother Isaac talk to him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did your mom talk to him?
No.
Do you know where your father is now?
No.
So, besides the last time that you reached out, would you say that was a couple of weeks ago or so?
No.
Do you remember the last time you actually had a conversation with your father?
No.
Okay. Do you recall the last time that you were at Karen's in your father's home?
No.
Okay. Do you remember COVID happening?
Yeah.
Do you remember where you spent Christmas during COVID?
No.
At your mom's house. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry, I have to answer yes. Thank you.
Was Marvin there at your mom's house with you?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember in 2020 when COVID was happening, were you visiting your father?
No.
Had your visits with your father had already stopped during COVID?
It just got shorter.
Okay. So you did see him sometime during 2020?
I guess.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say in 2020 during COVID, when they were less frequent, how often would you go over to,
No, that's not.
yes, they,
Once a month.
you would go once a month?
Yes.
So it was no longer every weekend?
Yeah.
Did your sister's visitation during COVID in 2020, did it get shorter also?
So that's not.
Correct, yeah,
I don't remember.
you don't remember. During COVID, did you live with your mom?
Yes.
During COVID, did Isaac live with your mom? During COVID, was Marvin also at your mom's?
I got.
Did you what? Tell me how old you were.
16.
And what grade you were?
Going to 11.
Okay, what city did you grade? What school did you go to?
I used to go to Cleveland Club.
But when you say used to, are you just out for the
I'm
summer?
transferring.
Oh, so you'll be going to the school next year?
Yes.
Okay, but you completed your 10th grade year. Okay.
I got out for the last semester.
I'm sorry?
I got out half the second semester.
When you say you got out, what does that mean?
I got withdrawn.
Who withdrew you?
No.
So you haven't been to school since when?
No. So I'm not going to school for like a month because the school was taking on to reach out.
So you didn't go to school for what? So you didn't go to school in May?
I don't remember.
Well, it's just last month. Just last month. Were you in school? Okay. Were you in school in April, the month before that, the month for Easter?
No.
Okay. In March, when you have spring break.
I was in school.
You were in school in spring break. So you haven't been to school since maybe the end of March, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So you didn't complete your 10th grade year because you didn't attend retirement.
That's right.
And were you having issues at school?
Yes.
Okay. Were you getting in trouble?
No.
Did you want to stop attending school?
No.
But your mother just withdrew you?
Because I was trying to switch schools.
But you didn't switch school.
Because it took long to reach out.
So your mother withdrew you from school without knowing whether you can get into another school. Is that fair to say?
She didn't know I was going to take it to other school.
And so you attended Kip Oak with your sister
And my brother.
and your brother Isaac.
Yes.
How old is Isaac?
18.
And was he a senior this year?
Yes, I did.
Oh, so your brother Isaac and Marvin, they both graduated this year.
That's right.
Do you know whether or not and you may not know, whether your sister attended Kip Oak for all of her high school years, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade? You don't? Okay. Do you know what middle school your sister went to?
She went to Oak Cliff, but I don't remember.
Oak Cliff?
I don't remember where, but it had a different name back then.
Okay. So let me see. So just to put this in perspective, you and your sister, she's always 2 years ahead. Is that about right? When you're in 10th grade, she was a senior, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were in 6th grade and she was in 8th grade, did you all go to the same school?
No.
What, do you remember what school you went to in 6th grade?
Trinity.
Is that the Trinity Basin?
Yes.
But you don't recall your sister in 8th grade also attending Trinity Basin?
She moved to my school.
She moved to your school.
Yeah, because it was one of them.
Oh, so your sister Marvin came to your school,
Yeah.
Trinity Basin, when
Just
she
like
was
a
in,
month.
I'm sorry?
Just like a month that she left.
Okay, so just so I can understand what you're saying, you were saying in 6th grade you went to Trinity Basin, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when your sister was in 8th grade, she ends up transferring to Trinity Basin?
I think so. I don't know what version, but she transferred to my school.
Okay. And it's because you were being bullied there?
Yes.
So you and your sister pretty close?
Yes.
She looks out for you, you look out for her?
Yes.
Okay. Did your sister get in trouble with your mom for being pregnant?
She got yelled at and she was my mother suffered to me to be careful.
Was your mom mad that she was pregnant?
No.
She was like, okay. I'll ask you what you show.
Any redirect? You may.
Jeffrey, did your sister go back and forth between living with your dad and your mom?
Yes.
Did she switch schools a lot?
Yes.
And is it hard for you to talk about this with your family today?
No.
Tell us about, when's the last time that you interacted with them?
No, it's time. I actually don't even.
Would you say it's been
Yes.
years? Jeffrey, why is it that you don't communicate with your dad?
Because I feel because after this dad.
Why do you feel that?
Because he paid Karina over her kids for his kids.
That's the issue.
Any recross?
Sorry, I have no further questions.
All right, thank you so much. Please watch your step getting down from the witness stand. And you can go wait where the prosecutors had you waiting earlier today.
Okay, how old is he?
Thank you very much. You too. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, the state calls Marvin and Malik for arrest for negligence.
All right. All right, if you would raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. And you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Marvin. Would you mind spelling your full name for the court order?
Marvinr.
Can you spell the rest for me? And Marvin, how old are you today? 19. When's your date of birth?
What's on 15 from
And can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Are you working? Are you in school?
I just graduated last week. I work at a hospital.
What do you do for that hospital?
I clean and take the nursing classes.
Where are you taking classes at?
I theater.
Tell us about your family. Who's in your family?
My mom, my brother, my daughter, my boyfriend,
Okay, so what's your mom's name?
Mark, and
And what about your brothers?
Jeffrey, Isaac, and Drew.
And do you also have a stepdad? What's his name?
Second,
And you mentioned you have a daughter? What's your daughter's name?
89,
How old is she?
she's 10.
What do you have to do for her?
We have to play. She loves government. She does points, sports, dancing.
Okay. Tell the jury a little bit about what it was like for you growing up.
That's my childhood.
Yeah.
My parents had a difficult childhood.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I was always up and down. I don't know how to do that. Children so I get along well. So I was like, very important.
Okay. So let's delve in a little bit then with your relationship with your mom. What was it that you did with your mom with her?
We just never got along. We just always fight. We didn't argue. Have misunderstanding.
What kind of things did you fight about?
The war things.
Okay, well, how would you characterize your relationship growing up with your dad?
Well, me and my dad, we just always get along. We have a good relationship.
What is your dad's name?
My dad,
And are your parents still together?
no.
Who, if anyone, is your dad? Did your dad get into another relationship after your parents split up? Who did you get into a relationship with?
We're kind
Do you know his last name?
of alone.
And do you also refer to as parents? And do you see Karen in the courtroom today?
Yes.
So if I'm sitting in seat number 1, my co-counsel here somewhere sitting in seat number 2, and if you keep counting down the row, what seat number is she sitting? You want to read about the witnesses identified?
The record will so reflect. And if you can, the bottom of that microphone moves, you can pull it closer to you.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
You're on. Read that. The state at 8, exhibit 8.
Your next exhibit is 9.
Thank you. May I approach the room?
You may.
All right, Marvin. I am showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 9. Do you recognize this? Okay. Is it a chart of your date of birth and just how old you would be every year? And is it correct and accurate of how old you would be every year up until how old you are today? And then I am showing you, since there's a lot of individuals in your family, I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 10. Do you recognize that? And is it a family tree of everyone who would have been in your family, including on your mom's side as well as your dad's side back in 2021?
Mm-hmm.
And would it aid the jury in your testimony today when you are talking about specific individuals? Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to admit State's Exhibit 9 and 10 to render the defense counsel for any objection.
No, we have an objection to the
And I'm sorry, 10 was another family chart?
With
More,
additional family members. Yes.
so second family chart.
Yes.
States Exhibits 9 and 10 are admitted for all purposes.
Your Honor, may I publish?
You may.
Are you able to see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with, do you recall how old you were when your dad and Karen got together? Do you remember how old you were when your parents split up?
I was like,
About how close in time would you say you then started dating? That's okay. But at some point, did he start dating Karen? Okay. And when he started dating Karen, what were your first impressions of her?
well, she's in like my
Do you know how they met?
year.
How did they meet?
But I used to live in an apartment and she used to work at the office.
And when you were first introduced to her, did you learn that she had other children?
At the time, yeah,
Okay. And who, at the time when you were introduced to her, who were the other children that you were introduced to?
Carla, Gonzalo, and then at the time it was the older daughter.
And at that time, did Janelle live with her?
No,
Okay. Who did she live with?
but Carla, and
Karen lived with us. Carla, Carlos, and Gonzalo. And then who did Janelle live with? Did you have an opportunity to get to know your step siblings?
yeah.
Okay. Tell the jury about your relationship with them.
I don't remember, but the time we got close, we got along with each other.
Did you have an opportunity to spend a lot of time with them?
Yeah.
What kind of things would you guys do?
We used to stay in the house and the sometimes cook when I got a little bit older. We had fun.
So during this time in your life, who were you primarily, well, as you grew up, who did you primarily love? Was there a point in time where you went to live with your dad? Do you remember how old you were when that happened? Do you remember if you were in elementary school or middle school? You mentioned that you kind of had a rocky relationship with your mom. Why did you go to live with your dad and Karen?
Well, because I knew my dad was so getting along with that good relationship. And then at the time when he and I were coming out, she became, I guess, a friend and a sister.
So, Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about that then. Tell us more about how she became a friend to you, how you built trust with her.
Well, when I got to know her more, I got close to her, like, and the part of it is how I know. I tell her, she starts something with my mind, and she was like pretty much the only person that was close more than my own.
So you were closer to Karen than even your own mom. What would you say it was about Karen that just kind of drew you to her? Like why did you feel like, did she understand you better than your mom?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. In what ways?
But she was the person that I could talk to, and she would be there to listen and stuff like that.
Did you trust her?
Yeah.
With regards to after you met her and got to know her children, did you feel like they became part of your family? Did you see them as your siblings?
As time went past, yeah.
Now, going back to the point where you left from your mom to live with your dad, do you recall how long you left and primarily stayed with your dad during that?
More, that was a year, more than a year.
And during that time, was there a lot of back and forth between your dad and your mom's family?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Why was there so much back and forth?
Because I still hadn't learned what to do and what not to do. And with my dad, I guess I had more freedom.
What kind of freedom did you have at your dad's home that you didn't have at your mom's?
Go out and do what I want.
And when you say go out, where would you want to go that you couldn't go?
Go with friends, be outside.
Did you have a curfew at your house?
Not really.
Tell me more about that. Did you, were you ever out at night after maybe hours of the night?
Yeah, sometimes.
What would you be doing?
I would just be with friends.
What types of things would you do with him?
What's the right thing to do? Go out, what's the story? Choose weird.
So you mentioned that you had a lot more freedom when you were at your dad's home. Were you allowed to have a phone while you were there? Tell us about that. How old were you when you got that?
I don't remember my age, but I remember when I was in 7th grade, I had a
Okay, so in 7th grade you remember that you had a phone. How did your mom feel about that?
She didn't like it.
Do you know why?
Yeah, because she said, I don't have no age to be having
Okay, so she felt you were too young to have it.
Yeah.
Did your dad and Karen share the same feelings about it?
I didn't feel nothing like it. Or feel having it.
What about about the types of things that you'd be able to wear at each time?
Well, my mom was like,
Was your mom more conservative?
yeah, but she was more strict on how I used to do it. And my dad was really different.
So what kind of things would you wear at your dad's house that you wouldn't wear at your mom's?
I could have worn shorts and my dad, shorts, t-shirts, crop tops, and was my mom could.
Do you remember who got you the phone? Who was it?
My dad.
That phone, did it have cell service or was it just phone?
So,
When you would be with your dad, would you talk to your mom when you were staying with your dad?
no,
Or no?
I don't know, I just wanted my dad was there.
What about social media? Did you ever have any of that? How did your mom feel about you having social media? What kind of social media did you have? How did Martin and Karen feel about you having social media?
I didn't really mind.
Well, Marvin, you know why you're here today, so we're going to get into that. Was there ever a time where the defendant made you do something you didn't want to? Tell us a little bit about it. Wherever you want to start.
When
Sorry, can you repeat that?
when I was there was one time I had a gun friend, and the sheriff and I knew that he was like this thing, and that was the first time I had to
You said the first guy. Was there more than one guy?
yeah.
Okay. What was the name of another guy?
I don't know his name, but he's called Parker.
Okay. And then, where is it? Just those two guys? Okay. What do you know the name of another guy?
Yeah.
What was that person's name?
Someone.
Someone? Was there any other guys that you could prepare? And who?
May I approach?
You may.
Then we're gonna switch words.
Okay.
And while she's setting that up, I'm going to go back a little bit before we kind of delve into each one of these individuals that you talked about. Can you tell the jury a little bit about what the financial situation was like at your dad and parents' when you were living with them?
You cried for the first time.
Of course. Do you know if, well, let's start here. Was your dad working at that time?
Yeah.
Do you know what he was doing?
It's to carpet out? I don't know.
Okay, so he used to take carpet out. Was this consistent work or was it sporadic?
Well, it's about a time.
He went out of town for work.
Mhm.
And then what about Betty? Did she work? Who would pay the bills at your dad's company? Do you know if they had any financial problems? Can you tell us about that?
Well, my dad, at some point he stopped working because of his no work. And, well, that's when we had problems of the rent being due and stuff like that.
So there was a point in time when you were living with them where he stopped working, and you said it was because there was no work. And then at this time, did Karen still not work? And then you mentioned rent being due. Were there any other expenses that you know of?
Since I did have work, so I took off to church and I took work.
Okay, so sometimes you and your step siblings didn't have food, and you would go to churches and ask for food. Okay, so let's go back then now to the men that you have told us something has happened. Let's start with Augustine. With regards to Augustine, how did you come? Did you know Augustine? How did you come to meet?
I guess he was kind of crazy. She was
How do you know she knew?
because he was the top.
Do you remember how old you were or what grade you were in when you met with Augustine? Were you under the age of 18? Were you in middle school? Elementary school? Middle school. How do you walk us through how you ended up meeting with Augustine?
Was walking with a girl friend, and we started talking to her, and we were with her, and we started drinking, and that day my mom woke up, and I was drunk, and she said,
So let's break that down a little bit. You said we were drinking. Who is we?
and two of Augustine's brothers.
And two of Augustine's. And did you say it was at Augustine's apartment? And then when you started off, you mentioned, was it Karen's mother's?
No,
Grandma's. Where did her grandma stay?
at the same apartment.
At the same apartment. Do you remember the name of those apartments? Who supplied the alcohol? They did. And so on this instance that you're talking about, you said Augustine was there, two of his brothers, and then Karen was there, and you were there, and were you guys inside, outside? And then what, do you remember what you guys were drinking? Beer? Had you ever drank before? Before that time? Did Karen know you were drinking? Did she try and stop you from drinking? Were you over the age of 21 at this time? So you said at this time your mom pulls up? How did your mom know where you were?
I actually don't know.
She pulls up. What do you remember happening when she pulls up?
When I was really drunk, couldn't have drunk too. We had one to the car. And I don't know what that kind was. He was mad. and it's could cold to take the nervous off, and then a couple of minutes, my mom was up.
So the five of you are outside drinking beer. You're drunk, Karen's drunk, and then whose car do you guys go to?
The one that couldn't remember.
And then you said Karina did coke.
Yeah,
Did you see her do it?
yeah.
Can you describe that for the jury, what you saw?
I was a little bad, and she was like,
And then you mentioned your dad called and he was angry.
yeah,
Do you know why he was angry?
he was drunk. I don't know what she was.
And then were you guys, when you're in the car, were you guys still at Augustine's apartment?
Yeah.
And your mom pulls up.
Mm.
When your mom pulls up, what do you remember happening next?
I think I was a car, and she was on the volume and drunk, and I just remember my stepdad grabbed me and put me in the car, and that was just getting on me.
Was there ever another time where you were with Augustine?
Mm.
Okay, let's talk about that next time.
Um,
Let's start off with where you guys were and who was present. Were you back at Augustine's apartment?
No, when the Karina and grandma friend, that was when I saw her.
Okay. So you said when you had gone over to Karina's grandma's apartment, that's when you saw Augustine.
Mm.
Who were you there with?
Karina,
Okay. How did you get to those apartments?
she drove to the apartment.
Okay. Was it just the two of you that drove over there?
Yeah.
Where were you guys coming from?
The house,
Your house? Whose house?
our house, where we stood it.
Where did you live? Where did you guys used to live?
Um,
Do you remember the street name?
No.
Okay. Do you remember? If you remember, is there a house there?
Yeah.
So she drives you over to Augustine's apartment. Do you know why you guys are going over there?
Yeah.
Probably. Why are you guys going there?
Well, what quick
For who to have intercourse. And what does intercourse mean to you? Okay, and what does, and that's a dumb question, but what does sex mean to you? What body parts are you? Okay, what is a female's middle part? And what is a male's middle part? Okay, and what are the penis and the vagina? Okay, what goes inside that? Okay, so that's what you mean when you say intercourse. So how do you know that you are going over to Augustine's apartments to have intercourse?
Because I was really clear on something. Okay, I have to read that intercourse for the money.
So you said Karina and Augustine are talking. How are they talking? On whose phone? Are you present for that conversation? Okay. What is Karen saying during that conversation?
I don't remember.
Did you have to talk to Augustine?
Sometimes,
Okay, tell us about that. How did you end up having to talk to him?
when we went to the apartment,
Did you ever have to talk to him on the phone? So, before you guys head over there, does Karina call him or does he call her? Okay, but you remember them being on the phone having a conversation, and the conversation was about you. And so, what was your understanding once that conversation concluded what you were going to do? Yeah. So once Karina got off the phone with Augustine, did she have a conversation with you?
Yeah.
What did she tell you?
Well, when we first got over here, so we had
Do you remember if this was the first time that a conversation like this had ever happened with you, Karina?
No, because when I started getting more teenagers, she spoke to me about sex.
And what kind of things would she say to you about sex?
That was have this one that's gonna feel good. And I should try.
What did you think about it?
Well, I felt uncomfortable.
Can you tell us more about why you felt uncomfortable?
Because my mindset wasn't on sex.
I'm sorry, I think I missed the first part of that.
My mindset wasn't thinking about sex.
Okay, your mindset wasn't thinking about sex. So you just mentioned that conversation. Was this something that she brought up only once, or would she bring it up often?
Often.
And the other times that she would talk to you about it, would she say anything different? Or would she pretty much say the same? So going back to this time when you are going over to Augustine's house. So, were you old enough to drive at the time?
No.
Did you know how to drive?
No.
So, who drove? Who had the keys to the car? Did you ever have the keys to the car?
No.
Were you ever in the driver's seat?
No.
What seat were you actually in? Yes, at this time that was on. In that? Do you remember how far from where you guys lived to Augustine's apartments? Do you have an estimate of how long it would have taken you guys to get there? 10 minutes? Okay. So, as you're in the car with Paulina, what's kind of going through your head?
I was scared, nervous.
What were you scared and nervous about? Was there any conversation between you and her while you were driving over?
Yeah.
What was the conversation?
I was saying I was nervous, but I didn't want to do it.
And what did she say in response to it?
She was like, it's okay, that's how you start. That's how you first start the movie first time. Because she used to do it.
And when you say it, what do you mean? You said because she used to do it.
Yeah, she used to say herself too.
Did you know what that meant when she first brought this up to you?
No. I had asked her when she said that I was going to work for me.
And so, when you guys finally do arrive at Augustine's apartment, what do you remember happening next?
She texted.
She texted.
I could see.
And she didn't.
Okay.
Okay, so Maria texted Augustine, then so she lets him know that you guys are outside. Did you have Augustine's number at the time?
No.
At this time, did you already have your phone?
No, I didn't have
did you have any way to contact police?
No.
So who would have to contact police? So you said she texted Augustine that you guys are there. What happens after?
He comes out and gets in the car.
Do you remember where you guys parked?
Yeah.
Do you remember where you parked in front of his apartment? Where you parked on the building? Do you remember that?
No. Outside the building.
And so you said he came out
Mm-hmm.
and got in the car.
Yeah.
What happens after he gets in the car?
We were having a conversation.
When you say we were having a conversation, who was
He was coming up. Mm-hmm.
Where did he get into the vehicle?
In the front.
Okay, and is Karina still in the driver's seat? And are you still in the back? Okay, tell us about that conversation.
I don't remember the conversation, but I remember saying to that I couldn't do it. But I was nervous. I remember asking from the school to come back my necklace, but I didn't have nothing to smoke.
Who did you ask to smoke? And when you say you asked to smoke,
For us to go find school.
okay. And what did she say in response to that?
We didn't have no one to stay up for.
So once you aren't able to get anything to smoke, what happens next?
She just wanted to come down and on the front.
In that moment, did you feel like you had a choice? What happens after she tells you to calm down?
No, just came down. I got a requirement at the time.
What is cutting it?
Stood in the park.
So you and Augustine get out and they go into his apartment. Do you remember what the inside of his apartment looked like? Do you remember if it was a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom?
I thought it was
When you enter into his apartment, what happens next?
Give me a beer.
You get a beer. Does he get a beer himself? Do you drink that beer? Does he drink the beer that you got? Okay. So you guys are drinking a beer. What are you guys? Where are you inside the apartment? Do you remember if there was any furniture in the building? Okay. Were you guys standing or sitting?
Well, I was sitting.
And then are you guys talking? And what happens next? And intercourse being what you described for this jury, where his penis went in your vagina. Do you recall if you used any protection? Do you remember how long that lasted? What made it stop?
I think that's it. Stop.
So you tell him to stop, and you guys just stop. And just going back, I apologize. Going back a little bit. Where were your clothes and where were his clothes when you guys were they on? Were you wearing clothes? Were you not wearing clothes? Okay, what about him? Was he wearing clothes? Did you take off your clothes? Did you take off his boot? So you guys have intercourse, you tell him to stop, you guys eventually stop. What happens after that?
I don't know when I put up my underwear and
Now, you said going in there, you knew that you were expected to get money from this. Tell us about that aspect. Of course. Tell us, did you get money after that? Do you recall how much? Okay. Did you think it was around $150? How did you get that? Did he hand it to you? Do you remember where he pulled the money from? And so once he hands you the money, what do you do next? Where do you go? The car that you came in? And is Cody next door in the car? When you get in the car, what is the defendant saying to you? When you tell her? And then what ultimately happens to that man? Do you remember what this time that you're talking about, what you spent some of them on? What? Snacks for who? Your siblings doing your feminist children? And then you said you think that you gave some of the money to Cody. Do you know what she did with that money? Is there anything else about this specific time that we're talking about that we haven't discussed yet? Was there any other times with Augustine? Yes. Got my co-counsel changes. Okay. So let's talk about this other time that you remember something happening with Augustine. Tell us what you remember, how it started.
I remember kind of like we were on the restroom.
Okay.
It was nighttime.
You were in the restroom with
And it was nighttime. I don't know what was going on. It was on my side. And she ended up texting Augustine. And for us to again, I feel anything like that.
Do you know why on this night you guys needed to be alone?
I don't know.
Do you know why you guys were in the back?
Yeah.
Why?
She was in the restroom and I was there.
Was that normal for you guys?
Yeah.
And so while you're in the restroom, she texts Augustine, whose phone she used to do that. Do you see any of those messages? Does she relate to you what she's saying? Or does she tell you what she's texting Augustine? What did she say? When she's done texting with Augustine, what happens next?
She was in the restroom and my dad was
So your dad was home. Was anybody else home? The kids? The kids that normally stay in that household? So you guys told your dad that you would be back. Did you tell him where you were going? When you left, What did you leave?
in the car.
Whose car?
Kind of in
Do you remember what kind of car it was?
the also in the
The red Jeep?
mm-hmm.
Who was driving?
Kind
And who had the keys to the car?
of
Did you ever get in the driver's seat and start driving? When you reach Augustine's apartment this next time, what happens next?
with car. And I remember I texted and she texted the room for fun. And he comes in the car.
So you said that you don't remember if she texted or if you texted. Whose phone would you have been using?
Okay.
Okay, so were there times where she would have you text or call Nick?
Something
So once Augustine is made aware that you guys are there, what happens next?
comes to the car.
Does he get in the car? And where is everybody sitting?
I think it's going to be a biker. And he sits in the backseat.
And once he's in the car, what is taking place?
Kind of like the car.
Why did he leave?
Because he sits in the car.
And who is
And
where in the car did you guys have sex?
he
In the back seat. So did you have to get out of the passenger seat? And did you get into the back seat? Cars are pretty small, so how were clothes positioned?
he took off his shorts. I don't know if he was wearing his shorts. I took my
Where do you know where Karen Heidegger went whenever she got out of the car?
I think to her grandma. Okay.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, you said her grandma stays in the same apartment as Augustine. So she wouldn't have to walk. And so you and Augustine have sex in the back of the red Jeep. Do you remember how long that lasted?
Not long. Couple minutes.
What made it stop that?
I don't know where to start.
And then what did you do once he stopped?
I felt good.
How were you able to tell from that?
I had to just show the fact
Let me make sure I understand. You said Karina was outside?
if she was a fact, she was on the ground.
Okay. And so you told Augustine to let Karina know that you guys were. Was money exchanged at this time? Do you recall how much? Who got the money? Who handed it to you? And then do you remember, I might ask this, do you remember how much money this time? No, but you remember him giving you?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember where he pulled that money from?
Mm-hmm.
Does Karina come back to the car? When she comes back to the car, what do you remember happening next?
She looks in the driver's seat. And then we went to the store and I wanted it.
Okay. So before we get to that portion, she gets in the driver's seat. Does she still have the keys? Does she start the car? And she drives you guys away? Where are you sitting right now? So you got out from the back seat and get back in the front seat. Okay. Do you remember what? Did you go to a liquor store or a grocery store?
Well, what's up with this people?
And so after you were given the money from Augustine, what did you do with that money?
I wanted to be with them and then I had I did something. If you are hunter,
You gave him 50 or 100?
my dad and I went to work.
Now, were you over the age of 21 at this time?
No,
So how were you able to buy liquor?
with credit.
So did you give her money to purchase the liquor?
Yeah.
And did she do that for you?
Yeah.
Do you remember what kind of liquor you bought?
Everything.
MD. And so once you guys purchase the liquor, or once Karen purchases the liquor for you, what do you guys do next? Okay. And when you go home, what do you do with the rest of the money? Did you remember who of the two you gave the money to? And how did you know that they were going to buy food? Did he tell you that?
No, but he said so.
So have you ever seen your dad do coke?
No.
And just for a visual, can you show the joy what that looks like? Or did you witness him take it? And did you see that one time, more than one time, something different? So during this time, was your dad doing a lot of coke, a little bit of coke? Did you, so when you guys returned that night and you gave them the money, do you remember how much money you gave them for coke?
I said 50 or 100.
50 or 100. So after you give them, did you do that when you first arrived home? Or later on? Okay, what did you do when you first got home?
I showered.
Was that something that you normally did after these experiences? Is there anything else about this next time with Augustine that we haven't talked about? How are you doing? Doing it right?
Well, actually, we've been working almost for 2 hours, so let's go ahead and take a 10-minute afternoon break.
All rise.
Miss Almazi,
Yes, ma'am.
if you're gonna write on the cloth could you put a double under?
I'm not going to write.
Okay.
I'm going to change these ones
Okay.
to that because it's hard to write on that, and I don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yes, that's what I was gonna ask you to double. You may be seated. Thank you. I'm gonna see if I have an extra contact lens. All right. Don't get up. Thank you. You may be seated. It's hot. Oh, yeah. Sure. Of course. Miss Bradford, if you could please get the microphone closer to your witness or have her speak up.
Yes.
She's very difficult to hear and understand.
Yes.
Thank you. Hello. Good. How are you? Yeah, we're on a break.
Brandy Mitchell.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get her down here.
Okay.
And I've kind of
But she agreed to it?
yeah, I've
Okay.
given her the runaround just because I told her I was in that court now. I'm here.
Ah. So what is the bond y'all agreed to?
The modification is the modification of the condition to stay away from the location. This person has moved out and I'm asking to correct it.
Okay. Oh, you even filled out the form. Thank you so much.
I didn't fill out everything.
No, you did great.
Okay.
She can shoot me an email. That might be easier.
Yeah, I'll let her know. I'm glad I caught my first break today that you're on a trial pause.
Yes. Sorry, it's very late for for you to catch a break today.
It's been a day.
Been a long day, huh? So he wants to go, and I assume get his stuff. Okay. So he can go. That's what I wrote. He can go to the location.
Yeah, and he wants to go back. He's on the lease. He needs to go back and break the lease.
Yeah, and do all that. I understand. I'm glad she moved out. All right. What is it? 309.
And I'm hoping that this will apply to the EPO too, the emergency protective order also.
I think my ruling should supersede it, but
Can you modify the EPO?
who gave her the EPO?
Um,
You know who issued it? The magistrate or the judge here?
Yeah, it's a magistrate.
Yeah, then I supersede the magistrate, the district court judge.
It's actually just an application. I haven't seen the actual EPO yet. I haven't seen the clerk's office, but maybe if you reference the EPO on the docket sheet.
I will. Okay, so there is that. This modification supersedes the Any. What is the address so I can list it so everybody knows?
1800 Northfield Street, apartment 4108.
Dallas?
Dallas, Texas. I wrote it on the.
Got it. All right.
Here she is.
And Brandy, you agreed? Great. That's all we need. Oh, and here's the rest of it. Yeah. 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 And I wrote on there she moved out. He's gonna, So yeah, it's all good. Right now, it's just I can put down. All right, let's line them up. Miss Bradford, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you could get your witness, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, got my new contact lens in. I'm ready to go. Yep, easy peasy. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, we're ready. Yes.
All right.
All right, you may be seated. And Miss Bradford, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, now then, very soft spoken, so if you could just speak up a little bit for us, because what you have to say is important. If you could just make sure the mic is as close to you as possible, okay? So before we get back into where we left off, I want to circle back to, you mentioned with the first time, obviously, that there was a conversation with you and Freddie about having sex with him. Was that the only time that you had that kind of conversation with him?
No.
Did you feel like every time the family needed money, this was the only option?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me why you felt like that.
Because I told you what you felt.
What would she say?
So was saying, oh, you could have been money related, but food or stuff like that.
Did you care about your siblings?
Yeah.
Did you want them to go without food?
No.
Did you want them to go without money?
No.
Did you feel like she made you feel guilty?
Yeah.
How so?
Because of the stuff she used to bring for me to have sex with me. I felt pressure.
Did you want to help her and your family?
Yeah.
And your dad?
Yeah.
Now, that, the first time, obviously, you had mentioned that you told the defendant that you wanted some leave that you ultimately weren't able to get. Why did you want her?
Because I was nervous and I felt like I couldn't do it.
Did you ever get high before you would have to do this?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
So I wanted to fight for me to do it.
You're still speaking a little softly. Could you speak a little louder for us? I'd greatly appreciate it. I know this is hard. With regards to so turning back to Augustine, do you know how old Augustine was?
Like 30-something?
30-something? Yes, you can mark that. And Your Honor, you know, like a push to grab it and hold it.
Of course, you may.
And then I'm gonna also approach the room.
You may.
Thank you. Now, Marvin, I'm showing you what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 1 and 2. Do you recognize the girl in this photo?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Me.
And do you know about how old you were in these two photos?
I believe I can. I don't know where was my birthday.
And so in State's 1, it was your birthday, that's what the cake's for.
Yeah.
Does 14 sound about right?
I believe so.
Okay, and in these pictures, when you were 14, was this around the time that what happened with Augustine and the other individuals we're going to talk about occurred?
Yeah.
Now, just to clarify, are there any other times with Augustine?
No.
No, okay. Let's now, I believe that you refer to another individual as Motherfucker.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we just refer to him as MF since we are in a courtroom?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I say MF, you know who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
And can you use that same initial as well?
Yeah.
Did you, is MF in Do you know how old MF is?
I don't know if it's like 40 or 41.
40 or 41? Okay, take that, 40 or 41. And then, how did you know MF?
Yes.
How did you know MF?
Because he's still so comfortable there.
So MF used to sell coke to your father.
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because he was the only one that he lied on.
So MF was the only person that your father and Fontaine bought coke at.
Yes.
And when you say coke, what are you referring to cocaine?
Yes, okay.
How long had you known MF? Like, have you known him for years?
Yeah, for a couple of years.
A couple of years? Okay. Was he around your family in regards to your dad and Karen a lot?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us, did something with MF happen one time or more?
More than one time.
Okay, let's go with the first time that you remember something. What do you remember about that first time?
Well, my dad had started going to buy cocaine out there, and I had went with her because of pregnant.
So your dad, Martin, had sent the defendant to buy some cocaine off of MF, and you went with her?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said you went to, he was living in an apartment?
Yeah.
Are these the same apartments as Augustine or different apartments? Same apartments as Augustine? And would that also be the same apartments as the defendant's friend? Do you recall what city those apartments were? Dallas? Dallas, Texas?
Yeah.
Did you ask to go with Selena to MS? To go with her, or did she ask you to go? How did that work?
I think I just went with her.
Was it common for you to just kind of go wherever Selena went?
Yeah.
So now, when you arrived to the apartments, what do you remember happening next?
We got to the car, and we went to mom.
Where did you and the defendant leave from?
Our house?
The house that your dad stayed in, the defendant?
Yeah.
And was that the corner house in Hudson?
Yeah.
Do you remember what city that one is? That one is in?
Dallas.
In Dallas, Texas? Okay. So, who drove from your home to MS?
Correct.
Did you ever have the keys to the car?
No.
Did you ever drive there?
No.
Did you drive from there back home?
No.
Who did all of that?
Correct.
Now, when you arrived, you said that you guys got out of the vehicle. You got out of the car. What happened next?
We went to mom in his store, and he opened the door, and we went inside, and we sat down in the couch.
What happened after you guys go inside and sit down on the couch?
We went to get the cooking for my dad, and we got to clean.
Did you see it with your own eyes, him giving the cocaine to the criminal?
Yes.
And then what happens after you see MF give the defendant the cocaine?
I don't know how it started, but we was having a conversation, and Karina had told me to sleep with him to get money.
So, what was your understanding of what you guys were going to do initially whenever you left your home?
But my understanding was she was supposed to cooking.
And so, at some point, things shift. Is that fair? What exactly did the defendant say to you?
They was talking, I think when he was still driving on the car, and she was trying she was telling to have sex with her, and to the money, and I remember telling her no, like, that's weird, and she was like, you should do it, and I was like, no, and then she was like, you take the money, because she was like, that's fine, you'll be fine, and then I just got quiet, and then when he did the cooking, he was telling me, so I want to do it, and Karina was like, go, and then we wanted something to do it.
Do you remember whether this was a one-bedroom apartment or a two-bedroom apartment? One. When did you go with him into his bedroom? Where was Karina at this time? And what happens once you go into the bedroom with him?
He took off his pants, and I took off my legs, and his hands touched my vagina.
Did it go inside of the vagina? Do you know how long that lasted?
Not long, couple minutes.
While that's happening, do you know the 30 minutes?
Never.
Did she ever, to your knowledge, did she ever leave the apartment while this is going on? How does it start between you and him?
I would tell him to get off me.
And did he get off of you?
He didn't want to, but at the end he did.
And where, in his room, where were you? In the back. So when he eventually gets off of you, what do you do?
I get off the bed and go to the kitchen. And I go to the living room.
Before you go to the living room, do you get any money?
No, he gave me the money in the living room.
So you leave his room, and when you go to the living room, what is Penny?
She's sitting down.
Does MF come into the living room?
Yes.
And then what does he do?
He said that he finished.
What did you understand that to mean?
Like, I didn't give him working with him.
Have you heard of the term ejaculate or come?
Yeah.
Is that what he was referring to by not letting you finish? And so after he tells you that, what happens next?
Karina told me that she didn't give me the money, I was like, no. And she told me to give her the money. And I remember saying, like, so little. And that's when he said that she didn't want me to come.
So you mentioned the she mentioned the penis to vagina went inside of her vagina, and that she said, why so little? What was the why so little in reference to?
The money.
The money, okay. And it was because you didn't let him come?
Yes.
And was the money given to you, to your hand, or to the defendant?
Karina.
Great. Okay. Do you recall how much money it was?
150.
150?
Yeah.
Once MF hands over the money to Karina, what happens next?
He gave her extra cocaine.
He gave her extra cocaine? Did he say why she was getting the extra cocaine?
No.
But he gave her $150 and cocaine after he had just had sex with her. So, what happens after MF gives Karina the extra cocaine? What's the next thing you do? And how do you
in the car,
who's driving? And where do you and Karina go to?
to the house.
Go to the house. When you arrive at the house, what do you do?
We get off and we go inside.
Okay. Was anybody home when you guys got there?
Yeah,
Who was home?
my siblings are there.
And my understanding is when we started this incident, your dad had asked Karina to go get coke. So what happens when you guys arrive?
She gets the coke to me. And I went to my room.
So Karina gives the coke to your dad, and you go to your room. What do you do?
I went to shower.
You went to shower. Why did you go to shower?
Because I'm nasty.
Why did you feel nasty?
Because I had sex with her.
Did you, this night, or was it, what time of day was it?
No,
So this night, did you tell your dad what you had just done?
no.
Well,
I just didn't tell her.
do you know if the defendant told him?
Well, she just told me to keep it between her and me.
Do you know why she wanted you guys to keep it between the two of you?
So my dad wouldn't have me.
And why? Why didn't you want your dad to know?
I don't know, because it wasn't right.
Is there anything about this specific instance with Emma that we haven't discussed yet?
Yeah, my siblings, my mom's sibling, Joseph and Jeffrey, was there that night.
So this night, you remember Isaac and Jeffrey were there to visit.
Yeah.
Do you talk to them at all?
About that,
Yes.
they had, cause they had approached me, how do I get money, and where did I go? Oh, I was kind of money. And they had said, if I was saving myself for them,
And what did you tell them?
I had told my mother.
I think this is the first time we heard you said you mentioned you were crying. Where were you? Why were you crying?
Because I had sex with
Is that something you wanted to do?
no,
Who wanted you to do? Did you feel like you had any choice in your life?
no.
When
I just felt pressure on me. I felt like I couldn't do it.
how did you feel like you couldn't say no?
I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't.
Did you love her?
I really hope she's different.
There were some tissues there for you. Did you want to please come in?
Yes,
Did you want to make sure that your siblings were taken care of?
okay.
Did Karina ever see you crying after?
No,
Where would you call?
Nora,
Did anyone else see you call?
Nora, and my brother's on
Why didn't you tell him?
I didn't tell Isaac, but I told Jeffrey that night.
And how did Jeff do? What was his demeanor?
He was in shock. He just told me why.
Is there anything else that you can think of in regards to this specific incident?
No.
Did it only happen one time with Emma, or was there more? Let's talk about the next one you remember. What do you remember about this next time with Emma?
Nothing in our house.
In your house?
Mm.
Okay. And your house being the one that Martin and the defendant stayed at, can you cover him on his head? Who was home at the time?
Only in the house.
Only in her being the defendant? How did this come about? Like, how did he end up at your home?
I came looking for my dad, but my dad wasn't here.
So, Emma came to your home looking for your dad, but Martin wasn't home. Do you know where he was?
I think it was my brother.
Was this a time where he was working, I think you said he was out of town? Do you remember where he was out of town?
No.
Where were your siblings at this time?
I think it was with their grandma.
So your siblings were with their grandma?
Mm.
Is that Karina's grandma?
Mm.
So when he comes over looking for your dad, does he come inside?
Mm.
What happens once he's inside?
Me and grandma was in the kitchen. We were cooking something. And I went to the restaurant and did something. I don't know how well. And then she had told me that and asked told her if I wanted to get he wanted to have sex with me.
So, you go to the bathroom. So you and Karina are cooking. Do you remember what you guys were cooking?
I think it was like a pasta. It was another recipe that she found.
And so at some point you go to the bathroom and can you hear them talking?
But I think that they were talking.
They were talking. Do you remember what Karina was saying?
No.
Does she come to talk to you?
He went from the kitchen and that's what she told me.
And what exactly did she tell you?
Then he told her that he wanted to have sex with me and that he wanted to know.
So Karen told you that MF told her he wanted to have sex with you and he was giving money. What did you do in response to that?
That's why I know I didn't want. But he discussed me.
So you told her no, you didn't want to do it, she discussed you. What was the defendant's response to it?
She said I would be rough with it, but it's fine.
Did you feel like she would try to minimize the experience? Do you feel like she would try to make it seem like it's not a big deal?
Yeah.
So after she tells you that, what do you do?
I just started crying and that's where he had went to the room where Karina and my dad sat.
And who was he?
Me and F.
So you and MF go to the bedroom that your dad and Karen share.
Mm.
How does Karen convince you to do that?
Because she told me that it's fine, that it will be quick.
She told you that it was fine, that it would be quick.
Mm.
You said that you said no, but you went anyways.
Mm.
So did you feel like you really could push back and say no?
Well, I told her no, but she just telling me to do it.
And so at her direction, you go into your dad and Karina's bed.
Yes.
And you go in there and that was with you. Okay, what happens in their bedroom with him?
Well, he take off his clothes, and I take off mine. And his penis touch my vagina.
So MF's penis touches your vagina, or does it go inside of it?
It goes inside.
Goes inside of your vagina. How long does that last?
Couple minutes.
And where were you guys inside the room?
The bed.
In the bed. So you were in your dad and Karina's bed?
Yes.
And where was Karina when this was taking place?
In the kitchen.
So you said it lasted for a few minutes. What made it stop this time?
Because he was trying to touch my boobs, because I had pants that day, and I didn't miss my shirt. And everyone told me to get off me, because he was trying to touch my boobs, and I didn't do it.
So this time, MF is trying to touch your boobs, and you wouldn't let him. And this time you put your shirt on?
Yeah.
Did you have a bra on your shirt?
Yeah.
Okay, so this time only your pants came off?
Yeah.
What about his clothes?
I come off.
Did all of his clothes come off? Some of his clothes? Some of it?
All his clothes.
What happens when it's when the sex is over?
I pick up my underwear, and I go to the kitchen.
And when you get to the kitchen, is Karina still in there?
Mm.
What is she doing?
What did she do? She was still cooking.
During this time, at any point, do you get any money?
I don't remember any credit.
You don't remember that? Do you remember somebody else writing money? Do you remember if money was exchanged?
I think it was.
Tell me why you think that. What happened?
I didn't give it to me in the room because I had left right away. Well, I don't know if I do remember if it's being to clean in the kitchen.
So you immediately left the room. So you on this occasion you did not take them. Does MF leave the bedroom?
Yeah.
And where does he go?
Into the kitchen as well.
Okay. So are all three of them in the kitchen at this point?
Yeah.
And what's taking place?
We had told Karina and we were talking twice that why is under the uncle. Everybody from Karina.
Did you understand what he meant by why on the junior?
Mm.
So he just said, why are you doing this? You're a prick.
Mm.
Okay. Did Karina respond to that?
No.
Did you respond to that?
No.
What do you remember happening after he says that?
I think that's when he gave me the money in the kitchen. If I'm not mistaken.
So You leave before he has a chance to give you the money back. You're now in the kitchen, and it's at that point you receive money.
Yeah, because Karina had told him to give me the money.
So Karina told MF to give you the money.
Yeah, and that's when he gave it to me in the kitchen.
So in the kitchen, he gives you the money. Do you remember how much he gave you?
No.
Once he gives you the money, what happens next?
I remember going to my room and showering.
So you remember going to your room and showering. Do you take the money with you to the room?
I don't remember.
Does MF ever leave your home?
After the shower, he wasn't there no more.
So once you got out of the shower, MF is gone. Does Karina say anything to you once you're out of the shower?
Well, before I get out of the shower, I told her that for nothing.
Okay, so you told her that you felt nasty.
Yeah.
And what did she say when you told
She
her?
told me that it's okay for me to just go shower.
Okay, so you told her that you felt nasty. She told you it's okay, just go take a shower. And when you get out of the shower, you said that enough was gone. What do you and Karina do after that?
I left
Where'd you go?
to my friend's house.
Is there anything else that took place between you and Matt and Karina during this time that we just talked about? So we've talked about 2 times now with MF. Is there any other times with him?
No.
Let's now move on to Henry. How do you know Henry?
He was part of our family.
He's part of our family. Which side of your family?
My dad.
Your dad's side. How is he related to your dad? What do you consider him? A brother, an uncle, a cousin, a grandma?
Uncle.
You consider him to be an uncle? How old would you say Juliet is?
30-something.
30-something? Have you known Julia your whole life? Do you happen to know Julia's real name?
Hector?
Hector? And how often would you see Hector or Julia?
When my daddy took go to my aunt's house.
Which aunt?
Linda.
Linda's? Who is Linda to your dad? Or do they have a relation?
I don't know if it's cousin, but it's something like that.
Okay, but are they blood related or?
Yeah, they're related.
So Linda, so you would see Hector at Linda's home?
Yeah, and sometimes when my dad used to invite me to cookouts.
Did your dad have cookouts a lot?
Yeah.
And would that be a time where family would, extended other family members, not that didn't live with you, would come? What do you remember about, did something happen with Korea one time or more than one time?
One time.
Okay, let's talk about that one time. What do you remember about that?
Me and Korea, was outside, and he had put up out of nowhere. And we had asked him, what is he doing here? And he had said that he was looking for my dad. and my dad was in there that day.
So you said you, Betty, and the kids were outside. Where were you outside
The house.
the house? And Cumbia pulled up and he was looking for your dad. Where was your dad at this time?
I think I was at work.
When you say work, was it?
It was at work. He was in there.
He wasn't. So it was a local job that he found. So he pulls up and Dad's not there. Does he leave?
No.
What does he do?
He was like talking to us.
Well, what is he talking about?
He's going around the world just having a conversation.
So was he talking to you or was he talking to Lena?
Well, from
Both of you? Where were the kids at this time?
they're outside now.
They were playing outside? So were they part of the conversation?
No.
No. So it was just you, Julia, and Bettina? What do you remember about that conversation?
Well, I was breaking down the way because I was about to smoke when he was there. And he was worried about the luncheon.
I think you said, did you say you were breaking down the leaf? Can you explain what that means? Like a grinder, where she's using a grinder or something? Oh, with your hands? Okay. And then you said Karina was rolling up the blunt for you?
Yeah, because I didn't know how to roll.
You didn't know how to. And what did, so once the blunt was rolled, what happened?
I smoked. I started smoking. She hit me a couple times and then maybe.
Was this the first time you and Karina had ever smoked together?
No.
Were there other times that you guys smoked together?
No.
How often would you say you and Karina would smoke weed together?
Only sometimes.
Only sometimes. How would you get the weed, or would she get the weed? How would you guys get the weed?
She used to give it to me, and then when I had made a friend, I started putting on.
Pivoting back to Cumbia, so you had smoked a blunt, you just mentioned putting it a couple times. What happens next?
Karina said, well, we were talking about Cumbia. Then she said that Cumbia had a big penis, and then she wouldn't have been with my dad, she would have spoken.
So, Karina says to you that Cumbia has a big penis, and that if she was not with your dad, she would, you said the F word, but I'm going to say have sex with him. Was Cumbia there when she said that?
Yeah.
And I don't think we mentioned this or touched on this, do you speak both English and Spanish?
Yeah.
Do you know whether or not Karina speaks Spanish and English? Does Cumbia speak Spanish or English?
Only Spanish.
Only Spanish. So when this conversation is happening, is it happening in English or Spanish?
English.
Between you and Karen, it's happening in English. Okay. But any time that you're talking with Cumbia, it's in Spanish. So did she tell you how she knows he has a big penis?
She did, but I don't know how she knew. I don't remember.
So after she tells you that, what happens next?
She told me that she had sex with her. for money or to just have sex with me. Just because
And what did you say in response to that?
I was like, no, he's part of our family.
So you tell her no, he's part of your family. What does Karina say in response to that?
But she was like, no one has to know. He's part of your family.
So Karina tells you no one has to know. It's not like you're going to tell them. Do you say anything in response to that?
No, I'm so quiet.
Does Kumbia say anything during this conversation?
No, he was just looking at me.
What happens next?
Karina had said she was going to go to the store to be with us, you and Karina, alone in the house. And she went to the store with the cat.
So this time with Kumbia, Karina takes the kids and they go to the store. And so who is left at the house? You and Kumbia. Now, when the conversations were happening, you guys were outside? So once Karina and the kids leave, what do you and Kumbia?
We were still outside.
Okay. What were you doing outside?
I was just looking. I was finishing smoking.
Did you finish the blunt?
Yeah.
What did you do after you finished?
I went to my room. I was laying down and he came to me and he smacked my butt.
So Kumbia follows you into the home?
Yeah.
You said you went to your room and on the way there he smacked you on the butt? What happens next?
I told him to handle it and then he kissed me.
Where did you kiss him?
And then
How did you feel about
I told him that it was alright.
that?
And he told me that it's fine. That my back was okay.
And so are you in your room now?
Yeah.
What happens next?
We had sex.
How does that happen?
Okay.
That's a poor question. Let me retry. So you're in your room. You mentioned he kissed you on the mouth. What happens to you guys' clothes?
It comes off.
Do you take your own clothes off, or
I took it off.
does he take his clothes off?
Yeah.
And then once the clothes are off, what happens next?
His penis goes inside my vagina.
So Kumbia's penis goes inside of your vagina. Where are you guys in your room? Are you standing up, sitting down, on the bed?
Laying down.
You're laying down. Is this happening in your bed?
Well, I didn't have no fear.
Whose bed is this happening?
I was in the floor.
It was, sorry,
On the floor.
On the floor?
Mm-hmm.
On the floor in the room that you stayed in, and you stayed over there?
Yeah.
Do you know about how long that lasted?
No.
What made it stop?
He came.
How do you know he came?
Because I cleaned his clothes and the
You saw him put his tongue with an actor? Did he wear a condom during this? Once you saw him clean his tongue with a napkin, what did you do after?
I put my underwear and I went to the restroom.
What did you do in the
I was cleaning myself.
What were you cleaning?
Paper.
What does Juliet do after
He goes outside.
he goes outside? Does he stay at the house?
Yeah.
What did you do?
When we was outside, couple minutes, there's one thing comes home.
Karina comes home. Like the kids with her?
Yeah.
Do they come inside?
Yeah.
Does she say anything to you when she gets home?
When he left me,
What did she say?
I wasn't in the door when he left me.
What did you say in response to this?
I was like, no, he felt no, because he wasn't mine. And then,
You've said this a couple times now, because it wasn't right. What do you think?
because I consider him as an uncle.
During this time, was there any money exchange?
He didn't give me money to me.
He didn't give you money? Did he at any point tell you he would give you money?
To me, no.
Did he tell Karina that?
I don't know.
Was there anything else that you remember about this time with India? And during this time, were you living with Martin and Penny in the house? And and also to backtrack, during the two times that you mentioned with MF, were you also living with Martin and Penny at the time? And then the two times or the three times, two sexual encounters with Augustine that we discussed, were you also living with Martin and Cody at that time? And was it during the time where you were around the age of 14, as we see in the States Exhibit 1 and 2? And that's the home that you were living in was the one on the corner on Pittsburgh? Now, you mentioned one other person, I believe you called him someone. Give us just 1 second. We're going to take some more. Before we get to Samuel, the room where you were with Cumbia, did you have that room by yourself, or did you share that room?
Sure.
Who did you share that room with?
Cousin.
Okay. Moving now to Samuel. Did you know someone? How did you know someone?
He was my uncle.
He was your uncle. On which side of your family?
My dad.
Your dad's side. And how do you know how he's your uncle?
Because he's with Linda.
Because he's with Linda. And is Linda the same one you mentioned? You would sometimes see her over at her home? Did something happen with Samuel one time or more than one time? Let's talk about that one time. What do you remember from that one time with Samuel?
I had spent the night at his house with his daughter. And then he came inside his daughter's room. And he was touching my daughter's infant. He was going to touch my vagina. and I had told him to stop.
So you, Samuel is your uncle. Do you remember where, did he live in a house, apartment, or something?
House.
House. Do you remember what city that house was in? Dallas. And who all lived at Samuel's house?
Linda, his two daughters,
Do you know his two daughters' names?
no, I forgot the name. And his eldest son.
So Linda, Samuel, his two daughters, and his oldest son lived there. And were they all there on the night that you were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And when you spent the night, who was all in the room that you slept in?
And his two daughters and
How many beds were in this room?
only one.
Okay, so where did the three of you girls sleep?
I was looking in front of one of his daughters.
So you were sleeping on the floor with one of his daughters. And then what do you remember happening?
I was on the bed, and right there was my best friend and had come inside, and he started touching my leg and trying to push my pajama. And I was trying to get off him and come to stop.
So this night, you're over, and were you close with his daughters at this time?
Mm-hmm.
So you're close with his daughters, you were spending the night, and he, was this daytime, nighttime? Night. Are the lights on in the room, or the lights off? Off. How do you know that it was done well?
Because they were talking.
Okay, so you recognize his voice?
Mm-hmm.
And does Samuel English speaker, Spanish speaker?
Spanish.
And so when he came into the room, were you venturing around the phone with your best friend, I think you said Andy?
Yes.
When he comes into the room, what do you do? How do you respond?
I told him, what are you doing here? And that's when he was on me and tried to touch my thighs and tried to touch me vagina.
What are his daughters doing?
Well, her daughter beside me, she was awake, but she didn't do anything.
Okay. What about the other daughter?
She was asleep
Where was she asleep?
in the bed.
And what did he use to try to touch you on your thighs?
And looked at her.
With his hand? What happened? Was this over the clothes, under the clothes, or something? So once he tries to touch your thighs and vagina over the clothes, what do you do?
I push him off me.
Okay. After you push him off of you, what does he do?
He still tries to get on top of me. And he had told me to really stop sex. And I told him no.
When you said no, how did he respond?
And he got more aggressive. And he was going to tell him I was on the phone. And I didn't have my car for me.
So he got off you when you alerted him that you were on the phone. And somebody could hear what was going on.
Yeah, because her daughter had moved too.
His daughter who was laying next to you. So does he leave the room? Does anything else happen with Samuel on that night? Is there anything else that stands out to you about that time?
Yes, I had told Karina about that situation, and she had told me to take advantage of it. And she had told me if I had to come in, he was going to give me a new vehicle that he had just bought. And Karina told me to have sex with him, so I would have to come and then
we all understand. So you mentioned that you told Karina about what happened with Sunlight. And who is it that told you about the call? Samuel or Karina?
Someone,
Samuel told you who would give you his new car, you had sex with him? And did you relay that information to Karina? And what was her response?
she was like, to the punishment, that's it. That would have gotten me.
Okay. And what did you tell her?
No, like, no, I'm not looking good.
Were you old enough to drive the car at this time?
No,
So who was gonna be able to use that vehicle?
I don't know.
Um, is there anything else you remember about this time? Sorry.
No, we just called Karina as well to try to convince me to have sex.
Samuel told Karina as well to try to convince you, have Karina convince you to have sex with her.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And was she able to convince you to do that? Is that everything in regards to what happened with Samuel?
Mm-hmm.
And so going back to when we talked about Augustine, we kind of documented your testimony. Augustine being A, if you can see on the chart here, does that look right? Augustine A, you have two brothers that were present that first time that were drinking. Do you remember talking about that? And then K being for exciting one, or Karen. And then him being for Marvin, because you mentioned you brought snacks. Is that right to your siblings? And then I think we did talk about what the next stood for. And when we talk about M and K, that's referring to you and Karina. So Martin, M and K referring to Martin and Karina, your dad and you. Years old, it's supposed to be like And so just to clarify, we talked about the 3 different encounters with Augustine, the 2 different encounters with MF. We talked about the time with Cumbia and the time with Senra. Of all of those times, how many times before did you get high before you went and had to go on the sex call?
India, and one time with Burger, and one time with Augustine.
And why would you get high before?
Because I felt like I was more relaxed.
Yes. 11. So, States Exhibit 11, the first 2 encounters with Augustine that we discussed, and then States Exhibit 12, the third time we talked about your encounter with Augustine. State's Exhibit 13 is the incident with Step Row. State's Exhibit 14 is the time with Cumbia. State's Exhibit 15 is the time with MF, the first time we discussed. State's Exhibit 16 is the second time we discussed with MF.
Yep.
Your Honor, at this time, State needs to offer State's Exhibits 11 through 16 for all purposes.
Is there any objection?
Yeah, I just believe the jury can. I mean, she gave her testimony, so I don't think it's necessary. So that would be the basis for my objection. And I believe that they can, take her testimony from them.
In light of the multiple occasions your objection is overruled, State's Exhibits 11 through 16 are admitted for all purposes.
And, sorry, Your Honor, and at this time, the State would also offer State's Exhibit 7 and 8 for all purposes, which is the time.
Is there any objection to State's Exhibits 7 and 8? Could you re-show those to the defense so that they know to what you're referring?
So, State's Exhibit 7 begins with Martin's date of birth, the timeline, and then State's Exhibit 8 concludes with the July 2021 list.
Is there any objection to 7 and 8 being admitted for all purposes?
No, yeah.
All right, State's Exhibits 7 and 8 are now admitted for all purposes.
Okay, Marvin. There are a few more things that I would like to discuss with you. So after, do you remember which of these instances that we just discussed was the last one? Which one was it? With MF, the second time with MF? Okay. Why did you stop doing these things?
Because I had moved back with my mom.
Why did you move back with your mom?
Because in that house, my mom used to come visit me, and she had 40 minutes. why was I so skinny? Then like that. And my stepdad sexual had told my mom that he felt like that I was hurting myself
Your stepdad Sophia said that
to my mom.
to your mom. You mentioned your mom describing you as pale and skinny. Had you lost weight during this time? Were you eating? Why not?
I found depression.
You felt the depression? Tell us more about that.
I found depression. I started cutting myself.
Where would you cut yourself?
On my bedroom.
At your dad's house? Where on your body would you cut yourself?
In my bed.
On your hand?
You may.
And they just witness stuff like
Yes, you may. Just please watch your step getting down from the witness box and keep your voices up if you would.
So you just told us that you fell into a depression and you started cutting. Can you show the jury where you were cutting? Can you stand a little bit closer just a little? And we see here that you have, is this a butterfly tattoo? Did you place a butterfly tattoo over where you used to cut yourself? Why? Why is it? Can you speak up to the report? You didn't know how to Oh wait, sorry. That was very rude of me. Let me make sure everybody. Let's start here and over. Everybody has a chance. And so, when did you start cutting yourself? When everything was happening, and everything, just so we're all clear, what are you referring to when you say everything? What was it about cutting that helped you cope?
Since Karina was the only person that I trusted, because I said I wasn't close to my mom, I didn't have no one to go and talk. So cutting myself made me forget about the pain.
And so, Your Honor, just for the record, this witness had shown the jury cut marks that were covered up by a butterfly tattoo on her left hand. Was there ever a time where, now there were multiple times where we heard that you told the defendant no, but ultimately ended up doing what she wanted. Was there ever a time where you actually stood your ground?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that time.
It was when I had met the father of my daughter. I had 2 weeks baby. I had my hand in boxing, and I was living with my mom at the time. And that's when I had went over my dad's apartment. She was living with aunt, and he had told Karina to have for me that he wanted to have sex with me, and he would not give me money. And that was the first time I told her no, and I stayed with my mom at that no. Because I was with the father of my daughter. And that day I had fought him. And from there, I didn't go back to see my dad or Karina.
Why didn't you go back to see your dad or Karina?
Because again, was with me. He helped me. I told him everything. What's going on? He was the first person. Sorry. I was the first person I told him, and he was helping me get out of the situation. And he told me that I was not having that put on that incurring.
When you left your dad's home, before you left your dad's home, did you have a conversation with Corinne about her son? Did you ever wonder why you and not others?
Yeah.
How did you know about that?
There was one time there was in the car, in the Jeep, and I had asked her if you why you wouldn't sell your daughter, sell your daughter's truck, and she had told me, I already sell myself to my daughter, and I was the moment that I realized that she couldn't have me with her, and when she told me.
Is it fair to say that you, throughout this process, you didn't know him? In fact, you were subpoenaed to be here today. Is that fair to say? You didn't have a choice. And is it fair to say that some part of you still likes him? And in fact, you weren't the one who told initially, did you?
No.
Is it fair to say you never would have told? Now, is it fair to say that throughout this process, is it fair to say that you also love your dad? And throughout this process, you've never even provided us with his phone number, is that what you said? In fact, you refused. And he even, and did he contact you this weekend regarding Todd? And what did he say to you? What objection did you say?
Sustained.
Is he here today? Has he supported you throughout this? What do you feel about him?
Because when he was first found out, he had told me that I was not
Objection to hearsay.
Sustained is to hearsay.
And again, you can't go into what other people say. After you spoke with your dad this weekend, you didn't want to come here anymore, did you? In fact, you didn't show up yesterday when you were right? You don't want to. And this morning, in fact, we had investigators come in here. All of that we just talked about, that's not because you're not being truthful, is it? Everything that you just told us during about what happened with all of these men, That's the truth.
Mhm.
And then we'll pass through this.
Cross-examination.
Mulder, do you mind if I tell you
Mhm.
so you recently just graduated, is that right?
Mhm.
And, during this year when you graduated, were you living with your mom?
No,
And where are you living?
when my boyfriend.
With your boyfriend and your child?
Yeah.
Is that your child's father?
No.
It's another young man.
Mhm.
How long have you been living with him?
2 years.
So
No,
you,
a year. Mhm.
a year?
Yeah.
So last year when you were a junior, you were at your mother's house?
No.
Okay, what are you living in?
With him.
Okay, so for your senior year, as well as your junior year, you were living with the young man.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Angel.
How old is he?
21.
Now your sophomore year, you were living with your mom?
Yeah.
And your freshman year, were you living with your mom?
Yes.
You believe so? It's okay if you don't know.
I said yes.
Yes, okay. Your 8th grade year, were you living with your mom?
I was back and forth with her and my dad.
Okay, so you're back and forth during your 8th grade year. Now, prior to this period, I guess they said maybe around 2019, did you go live with your dad for some time?
Yes.
Prior to that period, have you ever lived with your dad before?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Without your mom?
We got separated when I was 8.
Yes, so after 8, but before this period in 2019, did you live with your dad? Just so, not including your mom, with your dad.
I don't remember.
Was there a time period when your mom would not allow you to see your father?
Yes.
Do you remember what time period that was?
No.
And was she just upset with your father and didn't allow you to see him?
No, it was because when he started dating Karina used to not want us in her house and she used to kick us out.
Okay. So even though you mentioned before, well, this is something that so initially, Karina did not want you all around.
Yes, at the beginning when they started dating.
Okay. When was this? When is the beginning?
At the beginning when they hadn't been in their own apartment together.
When were you getting kicked out of their house?
When I took the reason I got.
I mean, what year? You know what year?
No.
Did you live in Houston with your dad?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was?
When they first, when him and my mom had first met each other, I don't remember.
Okay. Did you and your dad get along pretty well?
Yes.
And did you feel close to your dad?
Yes.
Did you feel like he loved you?
Yes.
Did you feel like he would protect you?
Yes.
When did that stop?
When he chose her over his own daughter.
When you feel like your dad chose Karen over you?
When he knew about the situation.
When he knew about this situation? So when did this situation come about? When did this all come out?
I feel like 15 and a half when I was 16, when I had my first baby.
So this was around the time, this all came out when you had miscarriage with your first baby? And your mom, well, you were present when your dad called your mom and said that you were pregnant?
My dad told my mom?
Were you present? I don't know, did you witness that?
No.
So, okay. Did your mom find that she was pregnant by taking you to the hospital?
No.
By taking you to the doctor's office?
No.
Did you tell her you were pregnant?
Yes.
So you've been pregnant twice, is that right?
Yes.
So with your first child, you told your mom that you were pregnant.
Yes. Me and I got it.
So you went to your mom and said, I'm pregnant.
Mhm.
And do you remember how far along you were at that point?
No, I had first just knew I was pregnant. I still didn't even to the doctor.
Do you know about what month it was when you found out you were pregnant or time period?
No,
Do you know what grade you were in?
I think I was in freshman year.
So you were a freshman when you were pregnant with your first child. And so you and Isaiah went and told Isaiah was the father?
Yes.
And is he also the father of your second child that was born?
Yes.
Was your mom disappointed in you when she found out you were pregnant the first time?
Yeah, a little.
Just a little bit? Now, you know Carla?
Yes.
You know Janelle?
Yes.
Did you all get along pretty well?
Yes.
And Carla and Janelle are both daughters of Karen.
Yes.
Is Janelle older than you or younger than you?
Younger.
Okay. And how about Carla?
She's younger too.
Okay. So you were older than all of Karen's children?
Yes.
And then your two brothers, they're both younger than you.
Yes.
So you're just the oldest out of your mom's bunch and out of Karen and your dad's.
Yes.
Now, you say initially that you were getting kicked out of Karen and your dad's house. When did it start being okay for you to come over there?
I stopped seeing my dad for a good minute.
What was it?
I don't know. I don't remember.
And you stopped seeing him because of the whole situation with you getting kicked out?
Oh, well, Cody just didn't want us like he stopped picking us up, picking us up to go with him.
Okay. So your understanding was my dad's not picking us up because Karen doesn't want us over there.
Mm-hmm.
And this was at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point in time, things change, and now you're allowed over to your dad's house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're not sure what changed. Do you know what changed?
No.
Okay. But now that you're allowed over your dad's house, you and Karen get along, is what you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So initially she's like the mom figure to you?
Well, it took a minute for us to get along.
Okay. Okay. But eventually y'all did have that type of relationship.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you decided, and I guess it's 2019 here, to go stay with your dad, did you get permission from your mom?
No.
Okay. You just, how did you up and just leave?
Well, I can see him. Just leave from my home and go over my dad.
So did you have a habit of just leaving your mom's house whenever you wanted?
I used to tell my dad, and he used to say, it's fine, I can come over my house.
Okay. So you're where we talked to your mom earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so she talked to us about some problems that you all had while you were there.
I don't know what problem.
Okay. Well, she mentioned that you were yelling and screaming at her very disrespectful. Are those things true?
Yes.
Okay. She mentioned that you leave her house sometimes without permission. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you started drinking and smoking while you were at your mom's house. Is that right?
No.
Okay. Well, do you recall telling CPS yourself that you started smoking weed when you were 12 years old?
Yes.
Okay. So at 12, you were still living at your mom's house. Is that right?
Yes.
So you were smoking weed at your mom's house and she just didn't know about it?
Yes.
Okay. And you had also already experienced drinking alcohol when you were at your mom's house?
Yes.
Okay. And so this was during that time period when you weren't talking to your dad because supposedly he doesn't want you at his house because of Karen. Is that right?
Yes.
Who are you smoking weed with?
My cousin?
Your cousins? Your cousins on your mom's side?
Yes.
Okay. Who you drinking with?
My cousin.
Your cousins on your mom's side, your same cousins?
Yeah.
So was there no parental supervision at that time?
Can you conflict the question?
I'm sorry?
Can
You want me to rephrase it?
yes, the phrase.
That's no problem at all. So were there parents there, or adults rather, that were allowing you and your cousins to smoke weed and drink alcohol?
No, because we used to go to a park.
Okay. And so who was supplying you guys with this alcohol?
My cousin.
Is your cousin an adult?
That was older than me.
Were they 21 and able to go to the liquor store and legally buy alcohol?
No.
So prior to moving in your dad's house, you're yelling and screaming at your mom, right?
No.
You're leaving the house whenever you want to. Is that right? You are smoking weed behind your mom's back, right? You're drinking alcohol behind your mom's back.
Yes.
Okay. And you're doing this all when you're around 12 years old. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And at 12 years old, what are you in the 5th grade?
I was smoking in 12, but I was never drinking. I started drinking with my dad.
Objections to non-responsibility.
Overrule. The witness can answer the question. And in 12 years old, what are you in the 5th grade? All right. Actually, sustained. It's not responsive. Okay.
So at 12 years old, you're in the 5th and 6th grade, is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, were you already, I guess, having difficult times around the 5th and 6th grade?
Yes.
And, were you already cutting yourself at that time?
Yes.
So you were cutting yourself already in the 5th and 6th grade? Because, and this is when you were living with your mom?
Mm-hmm. Can I explain how it happened?
We'll get there. But at this time, this is the time period, when you're 12 years old, you're already cutting yourself and you're living with your mom. Is that correct?
No.
When I asked you already that if you were cutting yourself, did your mom know that?
Mm-hmm. But later on, they're fine.
But at the time when you first spoke,
No.
did she know that?
No.
Did anybody know that?
No.
Did your mom live with Karen?
This is essentially from far away.
Did your mom ever like you?
No.
But did you ever see them interact?
No.
Did you ever see them? So no talking or anything like that between them?
But I remember.
So did your mom wear this family just not like Karen because Karen is now with your dad?
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, you're just aware that your mom is not favorable to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little confusing to me about when we moved in today. But from my understanding, it's 2019 and you're, I guess, in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
What school did you go to when you were in 8th grade? When you were in the 7th grade, did you go to that same school?
Mm-hmm.
What school did you go to when you were in the 7th grade?
I don't remember.
But it was a different school.
Mm-hmm.
And just so I can narrow things down, when you were at this different school, were you living with your dad?
Yes.
So that would have been in the 7th grade, you say you were living with your dad?
Yes.
And then you're in the 8th grade, when you were at Trinity Basic, you say that you were also living with your dad.
No, I haven't moved back after my 7th grade was over, because I was living in that. I have went back to move back with my mom.
Okay. And is it just the fact what grade you were in that helps you remember when you were living?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm just trying to, it's gonna take me a second, because I'm trying to figure out what year where it was when you were in the 7th grade, okay? So since the 7th grade, have you failed any grades?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What grade did you fail?
Second.
Okay, so nothing, you didn't fail again after this.
No.
Okay. By the end of this Friday, it looks like in 7th grade, 2019-2020 school year. That sound about right? No. Okay. It took me a minute. Okay. So we know it's the 7th grade. It's 2019. Do you remember what month you decided to take off with your mom and just go live with your dad?
No.
If you tried to remember, like, do you remember if you spent that 2019, you spent that Christmas with your dad or with your mom? It's okay if you don't have this. I'm just asking. Now, 2020 is COVID. Now, I use COVID because you remember what's going on in 2020, mainly because of COVID. Do you remember during that time here, were you living with your mom and your dad, or your dad during COVID?
I was with my mom.
You were living with your mom during COVID. So, in 6th grade, were you living with your mom or your dad?
No.
You were living with your dad also in the 6th
Yeah,
grade?
because I was going to Iowa.
At,
Yeah, and then after last month of the school year, I went back with my mom.
okay. Do you know how long in 6th grade, like what that period of time looks like that you were living with your
I
dad?
only have two more months left of school because I stopped going to school with my dad and my mom. So she came to pick me up from the back to take me back to her house because I wasn't going to school. And that's when she had put me in OW homeschool. And that's when I finished my 6th grade in that school.
Got it. Okay. So then the 6th grade school year would have been 2019. And you say it was the last 2 months before, and so school finishes in May, like, I guess June,
I finished on
in May? Okay. So like March or April, if we take 2 months back of 2019, when you're in the 6th grade, okay. So you live with your dad, 6th grade, March and April of 2019, and then your mom comes to pick you up. Okay, and so you're living with her during the summer, that summer?
Yes. Well,
Maybe it's okay if you don't.
no.
Do you think that maybe you would have been back and forth?
Yes.
And when we talk about back and forth,
Yeah, going back with my dad and back with my mom.
okay, Like, is it like a week at a time, 2 weeks, a month? What does that look like?
Yeah, like a month. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there was no fuss between your parents. They were just like, you can go, you're welcome here. You're welcome.
My mom used to was like it was my dad.
About where you were living?
Yeah, for him, not to let me go to his house, so I couldn't win that court.
Okay, but you were always welcome there, so you just went.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When did the back and forth stop? Do you know what the last time you went to your dad, your parents' house? Well, let me ask you this. In 2020, do you recall seeing him for the last time, your dad and Karen, in Christmas of 2020?
I'm not sure. The last time I remember seeing that when I was 15 and a half. I don't know that. I was only 16.
15 and a half?
Yeah, because that's when I had got with the father of my daughter.
So you were born in 2005. So 15 years later would be 2020. So about sometime in I guess it may be a half sometime 2020 that was the last time. That sounds about right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And I'm just trying to do 2005. That's the year you were born, right? Okay. Plus about 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that, so March and April, you lived with Dad, and it seems like for those months. Then you go back and forth. Was there a time period where you just consistently lived with Dad again?
Yeah.
When was that?
I don't know.
Okay. But when you say that, there was no more back and forth. It was just
Yeah,
that.
when all that situation was happening, because when all that was happening, I stayed with my dad, so when I brought him over to me.
Okay. And it's pretty important because I don't have a year when you give me that. I have the 2 months in 2019, I have the back and forth, and then you cutting off and living with your mom in 2020 when you were 15 and a half. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So between that doesn't necessarily make a full of you consistently living with your dad. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, all of this stuff you're saying happened in the same year, all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically, when all of this came about, it was in June of 2021 when you were pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm. First time, yeah.
Okay. So it comes out in June of 2021, but this is 2019, 2020 business. Fair? I call it business. And I apologize for that. With occurrences. It comes out in 2021, but you're referring to 2019, 2020 occurrences. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And at no time did you feel safe telling your dad about all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think he was going to be upset with you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think he was going to hit you or abuse you or something like that?
No, I just feel like he wasn't gonna believe me.
And that's how you still feel today?
Yeah.
But is that because he's expressed that in some type of way?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to go back into this. But from 2021 up until now, you've been having to talk to either CPS or the DA's office or somebody in regards to these applications, right? Okay. And you have periodic meetings with the DA's office in regards to these incidents. Is that right? Okay. And this case has been pending for a while, is that correct? I mean, years. Okay. And when you meet with the DA's office, it's a few people that you don't know in that room. I mean, is it just one, and the DA is the attorney for the state? Is it just one of them? Is it multiple of them? Is there usually, when you meet with the state's attorney, which is the prosecutor, who might say DA's office to say, do you usually just meet with one person, or are there a few people that you meet with? Okay, but it's never just one at a time? Then it's okay if you don't.
Because I don't understand the question.
That's fine. That's fine. When you meet up with them, are they taking notes? So you see them with a pen and paper, writing down, I guess, what you're telling them?
We just go over what I have told them.
And based on that, if you know, if you don't, that's fine. Are they taking notes? Now, initially, let's go here. So I'm trying to count how many times that you did. This is supposed to be all of the time that you're saying that Karen sold you to somebody. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, right now, as of today, if I heard correctly, there's Augustine. That's one person. Is that right?
Yes.
And you're saying that there was 2 separate times when Karen sold you to Augustine. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's sex for money, right?
Yes.
And then there's a second person called MF.
Yes.
And how many times you saying that you had sex with him?
2.
And those are 2 times that you were sold for money. And then number 3, you said it's Cumbia, who is also Catholic. How many times did you have sex for money with him?
1.
And then there's one other person, I think you mentioned it, Samuel. And did you have sex? Was that sex for money?
No. What did I have sex?
Okay, so you did not have sex with him. So there's 5 times there was sex for money in 3 different people. Is that correct? Now, when you talk to CPS, do they make you aware that they're recording you?
The first time we went to a house?
No, when you do the forensic interviews. When you sit in a room with you and another person,
Yes.
and they make you aware that you record, they record. And so you recall telling them that it was 4 different men that Karen made you have sex with 4 different times at 4 different places.
I don't remember.
You don't remember. And you remember initially there was always Augustine, which you told me about. You called telling me about Augustine? And then you recall telling them that you had Karen sold you more money to somebody named Enrique.
That's her MS.
So Enrique is in it.
Yes, that's his name.
But earlier when the prosecutors were asking you, the only name that you had for him was MF.
Yes,
But you also know him as Enrique.
yes.
And he's the one who told you his name was Enrique?
No, they once, my dad mentioned that his name was Enrique.
So your dad told you that the person that you were having sex with's name was Enrique?
No, he once called him Enrique, because that's his son.
Oh, you know MF's son?
Yes,
And MF has a son named Enrique?
yes.
Did Enrique live with MF?
No,
But you know the son from school?
no, because he came from, I think he lives in Florida and stuff, and he came once to visit his dad.
And you were able to get to know Enrique, the son. And so this is from one of those encounters when you went to go see MF with your dad?
Rules are together. Rules at the link.
So you, MF's son, your dad,
And the kid.
and all the kids
Yes.
are at the lake. So other than these encounters with MF, these sexual encounters, you already know him.
He was friends with my dad. Yeah.
Okay. And then Cumbia was a family member of your dad's? Okay. And Sandra was also a family member of your dad's? And Augustine is the name of Karen's grandmother. Was he a friend of your dad's too?
No.
Okay. So Augustine, did you tell the police and CPS and everybody where Augustine lives?
Yes.
But you haven't dealt with any type of prosecution of Augustine, to your knowledge. Criminal case against Augustine. You ever participated in anything like that?
I don't understand the question.
You know how we're prosecuting Karen right now, saying she committed a crime? And you're participating? You're accusing, there's been nothing like that against Augustine. Is that correct? That you participated in?
Yes.
You have or no?
In court?
Just figure. I mean,
I don't
anything with the police.
No.
And anything in court.
No.
Even though you made CPS and the police and everybody aware where Augustine lives. And then you said MF lives in the same apartment complex as Augustine. Have you participated in any criminal prosecution? The same situation I just asked about with MF? Now, how many times have you heard your dad call it Enrique?
One time.
It just stuck out of your head and you remember?
When you had said his name there, because I had told the officer, during the first weekend, that was his name.
Have you ever accused anybody else named Enrique of trying to inappropriately touch you? Do you not recall being involved in a CPS investigation where you accused somebody named Enrique?
Oh, yeah. Credit not open.
And do you recall in that investigation, you saying your mom
Yes.
was the reason that you accused him?
No, I had told my mom about it. That when I was staying with my dad, one weekend, he went inside of me and tried to touch me. He touched my vagina when I was asleep.
And you said you told your mom about it?
Yes.
And does your mom still continue to allow you? Like, are you still kept staying at your parents' house after that?
No, that's when the video was taken. Like when they took the video and the CPS came to someone had caused it.
And you were there criminal prosecution regarding that doing that?
Because I understand. Yes.
That's fine. When did that accusation happen? What year was that? Was it before all of these?
Yes.
Okay. So apparently you accused coming in and Enrique of coming in there, touching your private parts while you were living at your dad's house.
No, I was visiting.
While you were visiting your dad,
Yes.
you told your mother.
Later on.
Okay, but you felt comfortable at that time telling your mother about that situation. And that was prior to all of these other people that you're claiming you got sold to, right? Now, you mentioned with Augustine, there was one time in his house.
Yes.
And where did you say the other time took place?
The car.
What do you remember in Augustine's room?
The couch.
What color the couch?
Brown.
What else do you remember saying?
The table.
And you said you thought he had a 2-bedroom apartment? But you only stayed in the living room?
So you have to answer out loud, yes or no.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Now, you would see Augustine, I guess, whenever you go to Karen's grandmother's house?
Before anything happened, yes.
And from your understanding, Augustine lived with other people?
Yes.
About how many other people were you aware that Augustine lived with?
2 more.
2 more males?
Yes.
Adults?
Yes.
When you went in there to have sex with them, they weren't there?
No.
Did you get to know these other 2 males?
Yes.
So, had you seen, before this time you were out drinking with Augustine, had you already seen him a few times before?
No.
So your first time seeing Augustine was when, that night that you say that you were carrying that drunk. But you had, prior to you saying that night you got drunk, you had already been still visiting Karen's grandmother's apartment. You had already been over there?
Yes.
You just never saw Augustine before. Okay. Now you say you and Karen were out there getting drunk, right? With Augustine. And then you said your dad pulled it.
My mom.
Didn't you say your dad ended up coming to and he was upset because y'all were drinking?
When my mom had put up, he had put up behind me.
Right. So your mom came and your dad.
Yes.
But you didn't leave with your mom?
I said I did live with my mom.
Okay. That's fine. And so when your dad pulled up, did he have all your siblings in the car?
That I don't know.
Okay. Were the siblings at grandma's house?
I don't know.
You remembered a lot of other things. You remembered what you were drinking, who gave you drinks, who purchased the drinks. But you have no idea on this day where all of the rest of your siblings were. You got about 8 of them, or really more than that. But you don't remember where they are.
Mm-mm.
You were Jeffrey and Isaac there?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
So, Augustine, was that the first person out of the list you had sex with?
Yes.
Can you put the experiences in order for me? And so you have the drinking with Augustine, the sex with Augustine, sex with Augustine, sex with MF, and then Cumbia, and then something Samuel. Can you tell me who was first? Just in order of what those experiences. Augustine. The drinking was first?
Yes.
Okay. Who was next? Was it Augustine again or somebody else?
Augustine.
Okay. Who was next?
Augustine.
Okay. And then what?
MF.
Okay.
MF.
Okay. Now, the second experience with, well, let me ask you, when you had sex with MF those 2 times, were you away from your dad's home? Meaning it wasn't at your dad's home, you had sex with him?
The second time I worked at my dad's house.
With MF?
Yes.
Okay, and then with Kubi?
With Kubi was at my dad's house.
So those 2 were at your dad's house. And then one was MF at his house?
Yes.
Augustine one time at his house?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other one was in Augustine. Which experience was the one where you came home and talked? Where you walked in the door crying? That's the one where you went back home and you were crying?
Mm-hmm.
And was there another experience like that, or was it just with
It was with Augustine.
So both of those you ended up coming back home to your dad's house crying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which one was the one where you say Jeffrey and
The night of MF and Kubi.
And that's the night you were crying?
When
And your brother saw it?
they found me.
Okay. And then the night you said you came home crying after Augustine, were your brothers there?
No.
They were not there?
No.
Okay, so it was just that one time with MF. Was Janelle with you guys when you went over to MX and came back home crying?
I think she was. I'm not sure.
So you remember Karen making phone calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember where you were, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember what car you drove in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't remember if Janelle was there?
Well, she used to like come over on the weekends.
No, I'm talking about was she in the car when your Karen drove you to one of these houses?
Mm-hmm. No. Carla once was in the park.
Which experience was it?
But I don't remember which one.
You don't remember which one it was?
Mm-hmm.
But you're for sure she was in the car.
Yeah.
Okay. But one experience you say she was sitting in the living room. 2 other experiences you say were at y'all's house. And then another experience, you say you were in the car. So think about that, and I need to know when Carla was with you. Remember you said Cumbia was at your stepmom, at your dad's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of MF's experience was at your dad's house, right? Okay. The other experience I think with MF, you said Karen was sitting in the living room waiting on you? Okay. With Augustine, you said that one of the experiences, it was in the car. Okay. So that means she wasn't there for any of those, right?
She was there in one, but I don't remember which one. But she did go with us.
Okay, so did Carla know that her mom was prostituting you, what did you say?
Yeah, she did because I told her about it.
Okay, so you said the person that you never mentioned before that asked you to find you. You said the first person you told was Isaiah, or whatever your child's father's name is. Do you
It's
recall?
like that.
Isaiah. Do you recall saying that that's who you told first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but now you're saying
But
you told
no, that was the first person that, an adult like me, I told. But the first person was my brother, Jeffrey.
But Jeffrey finds out, he said the day before he told somebody, and he told somebody on June 1st.
No, he already had me. That's when he told they canceled our school in the grade. And that's how everything came out.
Okay. Well, your brother was here to testify the day after you told him he went and told the school counselor. Does that sound about right, or it doesn't sound right to you?
Your Honor, at this time I'm going to object to comparative testimony.
Sustained. Please rephrase your question.
Did Janelle know that supposedly her mom was a prostitute?
I don't know.
But you never told Janelle?
But I remember no.
And Janelle, you don't ever remember her being in the car?
No.
Did you ever prostitute yourself?
No.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
No, I didn't remember.
I'm sorry?
No, I didn't remember.
What, you need a break? All right. We will go ahead and take a, well, all right. It is 5:20. May I see the attorneys? You can go ahead. Let's just go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and then we'll see if we're going to resume or if we're going to break for the day. You can go ahead and step out. Yes, we're taking a break. Thank
All
you. I know it was a little confusing there. And we're off the record. We can break for the day, but I want to instruct your witness that she has to come back tomorrow. Okay. Unless you think you can be done with her in the next 15 minutes. With redirect. Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and break for the day then. Just bring her in, and I will explain to her that she cannot run away. She's got to come back. Because that's what I was trying to do, is get her on and off today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure. Of course.
That's what I kind of just been trying to
Wrangle? Absolutely.
coordinate, keep them.
Yes, I understand. And I'm happy to admonish them as well.
Yes.
Yes. Could you go ahead and get your witness for me? Is somebody getting? Okay. Oh, that was okay. I'm gonna tell her. Yeah. That's right. It just means something else when it's someone wearing that. Yeah, carries some weight. Or at least it should. Sometimes it doesn't. All right. Okay. I'm gonna go tell the jury to be back at 9:15 tomorrow morning, and to remember their instructions. Okay. Thank you, Varun. I'll see you in the morning. Okay. All right. All right. Don't get up. Don't get up. Okay. Well. Oh yeah. Come on up. Yeah. Yes. Just come on up. You're okay. You're okay. All right. So we're breaking for the day, and I know it's been very difficult. You've been on the stand for a long time today, but because you're under oath and you've been sworn in by the court, you must come back tomorrow. I know you don't want to, but you have to. If you don't come back tomorrow, what will happen is this, and I will be forced to issue what's called a writ of attachment, which is a fancy word for saying I'll have to issue a warrant for you. And they'll come get you and put you in jail. And I don't want that to happen. Not to anybody. So just, if the investigator's going to come pick you up and give you a ride, just make sure you're there where they need you to be, okay? And they'll bring you back tomorrow, and hopefully you'll be done, within an hour tomorrow. Okay? Do you have somebody watch your baby for you? Okay.
We can make arrangements.
Okay. All right. Well, they're going to take care of it for you, no? All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. All right. If you want to bring your witnesses forward, I'm happy to admonish them as well.
We had an interpreter
Mm-hmm.
here for a little bit, which she may have snuck out.
Mm-hmm.
The one who was drinking water. Protein shake.
Yeah, she's been here all day.
Yeah,
Well, she wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily for us. I think she was from both sides.
Okay.
Because
Yeah. Who knows?
right. Because
You need an interpreter tomorrow.
Well, he only speaks Spanish.
Who is he?
One of the witnesses that I'm going to get sworn in. That's why I mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
I bring him in, he won't. But
I can just order him to be back tomorrow. I speak enough Spanish. I can
Okay.
order him to be back tomorrow.
And we also have another family member who's not testifying, and she does speak Spanish. If that.
No, I'll just talk in Spanish. My Spanish is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's why your son going to school.
Indiana University, which is my alma mater, Chiquita Kelly, and Judge King went to law school there.
Ward Weber.
Yes, and who used to be the first assistant? Kevin Brooks.
Kevin Brooks.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sakina Thomas, I was looking at you for the defense attorney. She was there too.
Yes. It's a great school. He's going to have so much fun. He says he wants to come back here and go to SMU Law like his dad did and his Grandpa Doug. So. He's a good kid.
Sounds like it.
I know. Man, but he's just a teenager, you know. And he is in love with his girlfriend. I know. She's going to a different school. So, you know, somebody's going to get drunk and kiss somebody.
Yeah.
You know.
Where's she going?
University of Arizona. Yeah. All right. All right, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Would you please state your name? You can put your name there. Jennifer Alvarado. ¿Y su nombre, señor?
Agustín Ramírez.
Okay. All right. You have been sworn in by the court. You need to be back here to testify as a witness in this case. When do you want him back? Tomorrow morning or tomorrow at noon?
We have a couple more witnesses
Yeah.
to go, so I don't know that it's necessary tomorrow morning, but we're still.
Yeah. You want to say 1 o'clock?
That would be fine.
All right.
Yes, that'd be perfect.
So you were ordered, you must be here tomorrow at 1 p.m. If not, because you have been sworn in, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. They will come and get you and put you in jail. Okay? Señor, tú necesitas estar aquí, enfrente del corte, a la 1 mañana. Mañana. Si tú no estás aquí mañana, a la 1 o 1, ¿cuál es? ¿Cuál es la palabra? ¿A la 1? ¿A la 1? ¿Ah? Más en la tarde. A la 1 en la tarde. Yo voy a hacer un orden para arrestar a tú. Y la policía va a... they're going to bring you back to court. Okay. ¿Tú entiendes, señor?
Sí.
Okay. Okay. Mañana tú vas a estar aquí. Okay. ¿Preguntas?
No.
Lo siento, mi español no es muy bueno. Okay? Okay. Yes, thank you for coming back. He needs to be here tomorrow at 1 o'clock outside the courtroom. Okay. And if he's not here, I'll issue a warrant for his arrest and then he'll go to jail.
Okay.
And don't come in the courtroom. You have to wait outside. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for being here today. These things just take a while. Thank you very much. Okay, you're free to leave today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. 9:15. I'm not so much an early bird. I'm a later person. I'm not an early bird person.
Okay, so Judge, as we understand it,
Mhm.
this is the same honesty that we're talking about.
We're gonna need a lawyer. Possibly. All right. I will call my PD. But that won't be till the afternoon. No. But they have one in there. They have a translator in their office now. Or supposedly. Bye, interns. Thank you. Sure. Of course. Y'all look so handsome and pretty today. Y'all look very lawyerly. Fabulous. All right. I'm just too tired to get up, so I'm just sitting here. All right. Okay. I will send the email right now. About a possible witness needing a lawyer. Okay. Oh, I already told him to go bye-bye.
Oh.
So I'm sorry, we're done. We were doing like this. So yes, her lawyers may need to talk to her.
Okay.
So I will allow them a little time. If Mr. White, if you want to go ask them if they need to talk to her or if she can go back, if they wouldn't mind waiting to interview witnesses until after they've spoken to their client, so y'all can get home. All right. Okay. Spanish speaking witness may need a lawyer.
But I was just trying to make sure you do that.
Thank you very much.
You said,
Yes.
yes, oh, okay. She was a freshman. She got out of there.
Oh, nobody waited to tell her.
I know, right?
She's like, where is everybody? Mm-hmm. Well, 9:15. If you need to visit with her about stuff, get here a little earlier. If not, 9:15.
Oh, Summer, you got it off for me?
Hmm?
You already got the evidence?
Mm.
I'm just gonna leave that up there.
Can I see the I just hadn't seen it.
It's okay, buddy. It's okay. Or you want me to do that? Take them down. Okay. I just won't fold them. I'll put them in. I'll lock them off.
My bad, yeah. My bad. Okay. I do know.
Here you go. Oh, let me